In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8. The night has come softly, wrapping the world in quiet shadow, and yet, within this silence, a presence remains, gentle, steadfast, unchanging. You are not alone in the darkness. The one who made the stars still watches over you. His light has not left you. It simply glows from within, waiting for your heart to notice. Perhaps your soul feels tired tonight. Not just your body, but the part of you that has been searching for rest, for meaning, for a sign that you are seen. You have faced the noise of the day, the weight of thoughts that refuse to fade. But listen, even now, beneath it all, a voice whispers, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God." Close your eyes for a moment. Feel your breath slow. Imagine the Lord beside you, his hand resting lightly over yours. He is not far away. He never was. Every ache in your heart has been heard. Every tear you thought went unseen has been gathered. The God who shaped your soul has not forgotten you. He is near to the brokenhearted, and he binds up their wounds. There is a peace deeper than understanding, a calm untouched by circumstance. You cannot earn it. You can only receive it. It flows from his presence like light through a window in the night. Even when you feel lost, he knows the way back. Even when you feel unseen, his gaze remains upon you, tender, knowing, infinite. Have you ever wondered why the night feels so heavy? It's because the world grows quiet enough for your heart to finally hear him. In daylight, we chase noise and call it living. But in stillness, God speaks, softly yet powerfully. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you. Let that truth settle into your spirit like gentle rain. If your heart has been whispering for peace, you're not here by accident. You were led here, drawn to this moment of rest, to remember that your Creator is not distant, but deeply personal. He knows your fears, your questions, your silent prayers, and he answers not always with thunder, but with warmth, the kind that melts anxiety into trust. So breathe now. Let this night become a sanctuary. The same hands that calmed the storm still reach toward you. The same voice that called Lazarus from the tomb now calls your soul to awaken from worry. You are safe, you are loved, you are seen. He's been waiting for this moment, just to speak to you. And as this journey begins, may your heart remember, his presence does not leave with the light. It remains, steady as the stars, gentle as grace, eternal as love itself. Chapter 1. His presence in the darkness. There are nights when the silence feels endless, when the shadows seem to breathe around you, and every thought becomes louder than peace. You lie there, wondering if God still sees you in the quiet. But even here, in the stillness, his presence has not faded. The darkness is not the absence of God. It is the canvas where his unseen light begins to glow. You are not abandoned. You are being watched over by the one who never sleeps. Isaiah 41:10 says, "Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God." These are not words of distant comfort. They are a promise spoken straight into your night. When the weight of loneliness presses down, remember that this same God walked into every shadow of human sorrow through Jesus. He understands your silence, your tears, your hidden fears, and even when you cannot feel him, he is nearer than breath. Elijah once hid in a cave, trembling from exhaustion and despair. He expected God to speak through fire or storm, but instead came a whisper, a still, small voice. That whisper did not command, it comforted. In the same way, God often meets you not through noise, but through quiet reassurance. His Spirit does not shout over your pain. It waits until you pause long enough to hear it. In that pause, faith is reborn. Close your eyes now. Imagine a small flame glowing softly in the distance. The room may still be dark, but the light never leaves. Every heartbeat is proof that His Spirit remains within you. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. That is not just scripture, it is reality. Even now, in this moment, the light of Christ is alive inside your soul. Maybe tonight you have been asking, "Why can't I feel you, Lord?" It's because His nearness is not a feeling. It's a fact. God's presence is not measured by emotion but by promise. He has said, "I will never leave you nor forsake you." Even when your senses go silent, your faith can still see. His love doesn't fade when you can't perceive it. It deepens until you learn to rest in it. Let your thoughts slow like waves retreating into still water. Imagine His hand resting gently over your heart, steadying every tremor of anxiety. The night is not your enemy. It is your invitation to trust. Fear tells you that darkness hides you, but faith knows it reveals Him. Every breath you take becomes a prayer. Be still and know that I am God. There is a sacred beauty in the night, a place where all striving stops and surrender begins. You do not have to earn His presence, you only need to acknowledge it. His Spirit surrounds you, soft as dawn before sunrise. The same God who carried the Israelites through the wilderness now carries you through your worry. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever. Rest now in this truth. God's presence is not something you must find. It is something you are already within. As you drift towards sleep, let this promise echo in your soul. Even the darkness will not be dark to you. The night will shine like the day. Psalm 139-12. You are not lost in the night. You are held by the light that never leaves. Chapter 2. The gift of rest. Sometimes rest feels impossible. Your body may lie still, but your mind keeps moving, chasing unfinished thoughts through endless corridors. You think of what you should have said, what you should have done, what tomorrow might bring. But Jesus whispers, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest." Matthew 11:28. He does not ask you to fix yourself first. He invites you to lay everything down. When God finished creation, He rested, not because He was tired, but because He was satisfied. That same rhythm was written into your soul: work and rest, movement and stillness, giving and receiving. Rest is not laziness, it is obedience to divine design. The world teaches you to keep striving, but heaven calls you to be still. In rest, you remember who provides and who you are, His beloved child. Think of the disciples in the storm. The waves raged, the wind roared, and fear consumed them. Yet Jesus slept, not because He didn't care, but because He trusted His Father completely. That same peace is yours tonight. You can lie down, not because life is perfect, but because God is. The same hand that calmed the sea now covers you. You can rest because He does not forget. As you breathe slowly, imagine placing each burden into His open palm. Every regret, every worry, every unknown, let them fall away. Cast all your anxiety on Him because He cares for you. 1 Peter 5:7. Rest begins not when life becomes easy, but when surrender becomes real. You are not meant to carry the world. You are meant to trust the one who holds it. God rested on the seventh day, and in that holy pause, creation exhaled. The sun didn't stop shining, the rivers didn't stop flowing, yet everything was at peace. That is the rest He wants for you: movement without worry, silence without emptiness. When you rest in Him, your soul aligns again with heaven's rhythm. You remember that grace, not effort, sustains you. Close your eyes and imagine Jesus sitting beside you, his voice soft as wind through leaves. He says, "Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." John 14:27. Those words are a lullaby for the weary spirit. They are permission to stop fighting, to let go of control. In his presence, the need to prove, to perform, to perfect, fades into peace. Every creature in creation rests under his care. The birds, the trees, the oceans. You are no different. Rest is not something you must earn. It's a gift freely given. When you receive it, you honor the giver. Trust that tomorrow is already written in his kindness. Tonight, your only task is to breathe and believe. And as the night deepens, remember this truth. God never asks you to rest because he is far away, but because he is close enough to guard your sleep. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8. The world can wait. Your soul is safe now, resting where it belongs, in the arms of God. Chapter 3. The Shepherd's Voice. There are moments when you wander through life, unsure which way to go, hearing too many voices calling from every direction. Some promise peace, others stir fear, and you long to know which one is true. But then comes a gentler sound, familiar, steady, filled with love. Jesus said, "My sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they follow me." John 10:27. His voice is never harsh. It guides, it soothes, it leads you home. Psalm 23 begins, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." These are not empty words. They are the song of a soul that has found direction again. God's guidance is not a demand. It is a melody, one that pulls you towards still waters and quiet meadows of peace. When your heart is overwhelmed, remember that your shepherd does not shout. He calls softly by name. The shepherd's voice never leads you by force, it draws you by love. Even when you stray, he does not abandon you. He leaves the 99 to find the one. Perhaps tonight, you are that one, tired, uncertain, or afraid. Yet here he is, walking through your thoughts, through your pain, whispering, "You are mine." His pursuit is not to punish, but to bring you back to peace. Picture yourself walking through a valley at dusk. The air cools, the light fades, and shadows stretch long. You cannot see the path clearly, but you can hear him, the voice that has never left your side. "Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me." Psalm 23:4. His presence is the light your eyes can't see. There's a rest that comes when you stop running ahead or falling behind, when you simply walk beside him. The shepherd knows the terrain. He's already walked it before you. He knows where the dangers hide and where the water runs deep. You don't need to know every step. You only need to know who leads. His staff is your comfort, his path your peace. As you listen, silence the other voices, the ones that tell you you're lost, unworthy, or forgotten. None of them come from him. His words are always laced with gentleness, correction wrapped in care. He does not scold. He restores. Let his truth drown out the noise of doubt. The shepherd speaks in ways your heart already understands. Now take a deep breath. Feel his nearness, not as an idea, but as a presence that fills the room. The same hands that guided David through battles now hold your fragile faith. The same voice that called Lazarus from death now calls your name through the dark. You are never beyond his hearing. His voice will always find you. As you drift toward rest, imagine lying down in green pastures, the cool grass beneath you, the shepherd keeping watch. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life. Psalm 23:6. You can sleep without fear, for you are not your own protector. You are his beloved sheep, resting safely under the watch of eternal love. Chapter 4. Faith over fear. Fear has a way of creeping in when the night grows still. It whispers of what could go wrong, of what might never change, of what tomorrow might hold. You try to silence it, but it grows louder, demanding your attention. Yet faith does not shout back. It simply stands firm, reminding you of who holds the storm. When I am afraid, I will trust in you. Psalm 56:3. These words are not theory, they are survival for the soul. There was a night when even the disciples, men who walked beside Jesus, were terrified. The sea rose high, waves crashed into their small boat, and panic filled their hearts. Jesus slept through it all until they cried out, "Teacher, don't you care if we drown?" Mark 4:38. He woke, spoke 3 simple words, "Peace, be still," and the wind obeyed. That same voice still speaks to your fears tonight. Fear grows when you forget who's in your boat. It feeds on illusion, the thought that you are alone, that your prayers go unheard. But every wave that threatens you has already heard his command. Faith doesn't erase the storm, it remembers the one who rides through it with you. The moment you look to him instead of the wind, peace begins to rise again. Close your eyes and picture that sea, once violent, now still as glass. The stars reflect on the surface, the night air calm again. Jesus turns to his disciples and asks, "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" Mark 4:40. Those words are not rebuke, but reminder. Faith is not about never feeling fear. It's about choosing trust, even when fear still whispers. There are storms that never make noise, the kind that rage inside your mind, in thoughts too heavy to speak. Yet faith lives there too, quiet and unshaken. It reminds you that God's love has already crossed every distance, already conquered every threat. Perfect love casts out fear. 1 John 4:18. Tonight, let that perfect love surround you until fear finds no place left to stay. Every breath you take can become a prayer of peace. Breathe in his promise, breathe out your anxiety. You don't need to know how or when everything will settle, only that he is here now. Faith is not certainty about tomorrow, it is confidence in his presence tonight. His nearness is enough. Maybe you've been fighting your storm for too long, trying to calm it with your own strength. But peace was never yours to create. It was always his to give. When you finally surrender control, you don't sink, you float. You rest upon the very water that once terrified you. His hand keeps you steady even when your own faith feels small. So as you prepare to sleep, imagine Jesus standing at the edge of your heart's sea, speaking once more. Peace, be still. The wind listens, the waves obey, and your soul, weary from battle, remembers that faith is not the absence of fear. It is the assurance that no storm can drown the presence of God. Rest now in that unshakable truth. Chapter 5. The power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is one of the hardest roads a soul can walk. It asks you to release the pain that feels like proof of what you've endured. It asks you to let go when part of you wants to hold on, to make things even, to feel seen. But God calls you to something higher, not for their sake, but for yours. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Ephesians 4:32. There's a quiet freedom waiting behind forgiveness, but the door only opens when you stop rehearsing the hurt. Bitterness promises power but steals peace. It keeps your soul chained to moments God already wants to heal. When you forgive, you don't erase the past, you hand it to the one who can redeem it. Grace does what anger never could. It restores your heart to life. Joseph knew this pain, betrayed by his own brothers, sold as a slave, forgotten in a prison. Yet when they stood before him years later, afraid of his revenge, he wept instead. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Genesis 50:20. Those words are not weakness, they are strength born of trust. Forgiveness turned his suffering into a testimony of mercy. When you hold resentment, it becomes a weight your spirit cannot carry forever. But when you release it, the heaviness lifts. You breathe differently, think differently, rest differently. Every time you forgive, heaven breathes through you. It is not forgetting the pain. It is inviting God into it. He takes what broke you and transforms it into blessing. Close your eyes now and bring to mind the faces or memories that still ache. Don't run from them. Let them come, and then whisper their names into God's hands. Tell him you're tired of carrying them. The cross stands as your proof that release is possible, that love can triumph even through wounds. Forgiveness is not about pretending it didn't hurt. It's about trusting that God can heal what did. Jesus spoke words of forgiveness even as he hung on the cross. Father, forgive them, for they do not know what they are doing. Luke 23:34. Those words echo through time, through every betrayal and every broken heart. If he could forgive in agony, then his spirit within you can forgive through pain. You don't do it alone. His mercy flows through you like light breaking through clouds. Forgiveness restores the rhythm of your soul, like a song finally finding its melody again. The anger fades, the tension softens, and in its place grows something gentle and strong. It's not weakness, it's divine courage. To forgive is to look evil in the eye and say, "You will not define me." It's choosing peace over poison, love over memory. So tonight, let your heart exhale. Let resentment drift away like smoke into the night air. The one who forgave you waits to fill the empty spaces with peace. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Matthew 5:7. Sleep knowing that grace has done its work. Your soul is lighter, your heart clean, your rest holy. Chapter 6. Trust in the waiting. There are seasons when silence feels endless, when prayers seem to rise and vanish into the air. You wonder if God has forgotten, if his promises have slipped through the cracks of time. Yet waiting is not the absence of God's work. It is the soil where faith grows roots. Wait for the Lord. Be strong and take heart and wait for the Lord. Psalm 27:14. The waiting itself becomes holy ground. Abraham knew that kind of waiting. God promised him a son, yet years passed, and hope thinned like mist at dawn. Still, Abraham looked at the stars and believed. Against all hope, Abraham in hope believed. Romans 4:18. What looked like delay was actually design. God was preparing not just a child, but a covenant that would bless generations. Waiting was not wasted time. It was sacred preparation. You may not see the promise yet, but unseen does not mean undone. God is never late, though he rarely moves early. His timing is not slow, it's perfect. Like a seed beneath the soil, his plan is working in silence. If you dig too soon, you'll only find darkness. But if you wait, you'll witness life bursting from where you thought there was nothing. When your heart grows restless, remember that patience is not weakness. It's faith with endurance. It is trust stretched wide across time. Those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. Isaiah 40:31. Each moment you choose to trust instead of despair, your spirit learns to soar above what once weighed you down. The silence of God is not rejection. It's intimacy disguised. When he seems quiet, it's often because he's working in places words cannot reach. Sometimes his love withholds answers until your heart is ready to receive them. Trusting the wait means believing that his not yet still carries love. and that delay is not denial. Close your eyes and think of every prayer that has yet to be answered. Lay them before him one by one, like stones beside a river. You don't have to push them downstream. The water will carry them in due time. Commit your way to the Lord, trust in him, and he will act. Psalm 37:5. Rest is not the absence of longing, it's the presence of trust in longing's midst. Waiting teaches you to see differently. You stop measuring God by outcomes and start seeing him in the process. You notice his fingerprints in the small mercies, the breath in your lungs, the sunrise that returns without fail, the peace that visits when reason cannot explain. Even in waiting, you are never without wonder. As you drift into rest tonight, remember this: the clock you fear does not control the God you serve. He moves outside of minutes and days, yet he holds them all in his hands. Every second is sacred when it's surrendered to him. And one day, you will look back and see, the waiting was never empty. It was the womb of the miracle. Chapter 7. The calm within surrender. There comes a moment when holding on begins to hurt more than letting go. You try to understand, to control, to make sense of every unanswered question, but peace hides behind surrender. It waits quietly, beyond the struggle to fix what only God can heal. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Proverbs 3:5. Surrender isn't defeat, it's coming home to trust. Mary knew this peace. When the angel brought her news too heavy for reason, she didn't argue, she simply said, "Let it be to me according to your word." Luke 1:38. In those few words, she taught the world what holy rest sounds like. Her peace was not born from knowing every detail. It came from knowing who had spoken. Faith begins where understanding ends. So much of our exhaustion comes from trying to play God in our own lives, solving, controlling, planning without rest. But the shepherd doesn't ask his sheep to understand the path, only to follow. The moment you stop demanding answers, the heart finally exhales. Surrender becomes a prayer of trust, whispered into the night. Your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. The cross itself was the greatest surrender, and through it came the greatest peace. Jesus didn't fight his Father's plan. He yielded to it, trusting love even through pain. When he said, "Into your hands I commit my spirit," Luke 23:46, he was not giving up. He was giving over. The calm that followed the cross became resurrection. Close your eyes and think of everything you've tried to carry on your own. Every burden, every why, every fear of what's next, place them gently in God's hands. You are not giving up control. You are returning it to the one who never lost it. Feel your breath slow. The more you release, the more space peace finds to fill. There's a rhythm to surrender. An inhale of trust, an exhale of release. It's not a single moment. It's a way of being. Each day you may need to surrender again, and that's okay. God never tires of receiving what you lay down. His strength is made perfect in your weakness. His grace meets you exactly where you stop striving. When the mind tries to take back what you've given, remember this truth: his plan is better than your understanding of it. Surrender is not losing the story, it's letting the author continue it. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Psalm 37:7. Stillness is not emptiness. It's trust wearing silence like a crown. Tonight, let go completely. The hands that shape the stars now hold your future. You don't have to understand how everything will unfold. You only need to rest in the one who does. Peace is not found in control. It's found in surrender. And as you sleep, may your heart whisper what Mary once did. Let it be unto me, Lord, just as you will. Chapter 8. Gratitude in the night. When the world grows quiet and darkness settles in, it's easy to count what feels missing. The prayers unanswered, the moments that didn't go as hoped. But gratitude shifts the heart's vision. It teaches you to see not the absence, but the abundance that quietly surrounds you. Give thanks in all circumstances, for this is God's will for you in Christ Jesus. 1 Thessalonians 5:18. Gratitude turns the night into a sanctuary. Gratitude doesn't deny pain, it redeems it. It whispers that even in brokenness, God's hand is near. The Israelites wandered for years, yet manna still fell each morning, daily proof that God's care never stopped. In your life too, provision often appears small, but steady. It's the breath in your lungs, the kindness of a friend, the sunrise that never forgets to return. When you give thanks, fear loses its authority. Worry cannot rule a heart that remembers God's faithfulness. Gratitude lifts your eyes from the storm to the one who commands the sea. It's not a feeling, it's a practice of trust. Every time you say thank you, even through tears, your soul declares that love is still stronger than loss. Paul and Silas knew this truth. Chained in a dark prison, they sang hymns instead of despair. Their gratitude shook the foundations of their cell, literally and spiritually. At midnight, Paul and Silas prayed and sang praises unto God, and the prisoners heard them. Acts 16:25. Gratitude breaks chains, both seen and unseen. It brings freedom where fear once ruled. Close your eyes and think of the smallest blessings from today, moments you might have missed in the noise. A soft word, a quiet sky, the strength to keep going. Whisper your thanks for them. Gratitude transforms the ordinary into the divine. Every breath of thanks builds an altar in the heart where peace can dwell. When you thank God for what is instead of wishing for what isn't, your soul begins to rest. The night feels softer. The weight of comparison fades. You realize that contentment isn't found in having more. It's found in seeing rightly. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. Psalm 23:1. Gratitude restores this vision of enough. Sometimes gratitude is a choice made through trembling lips. But even that is worship. It tells heaven that your faith stands taller than your circumstance. And as you thank Him in the dark, light begins to flicker again. Gratitude doesn't change God. It changes you, opening your heart wider to His peace. So as sleep draws near, let your final thoughts be thanks. Not for a perfect day, but for a faithful God. Thank Him for His presence, for His patience, for His love that refuses to leave. Oh, give thanks to the Lord, for He is good. His mercy endures forever. Psalm 136:1. Gratitude is the song that carries you into rest, a lullaby only peace can sing. Chapter 9. The healing of the heart. Some wounds don't show on the skin. They hide deep within, in memories, in silence, in moments you never fully spoke aloud. You've carried them quietly, pretending they no longer hurt, yet sometimes the ache returns at night when everything else is still. He heals the broken-hearted and binds up their wounds. Psalm 147:3. Healing begins the moment you stop pretending you don't need it. Jesus met many who carried invisible pain. The woman who touched His cloak didn't shout or plead. She simply reached out in faith. Her heart whispered what her lips couldn't say. If I only touch His garment, I will be healed. Matthew 9:21. And instantly, wholeness found her. Healing doesn't always come through words. Sometimes it arrives through the quiet act of reaching. There are pieces of your story that still feel unfinished, but God writes healing into every chapter. Time doesn't heal by itself. Truth does. And truth is this: you were never meant to bear your pain alone. The same hands that calmed storms still mend hearts. When you bring your hurt to him, you don't have to explain it. He already knows the language of your tears. Maybe you've tried to fix yourself, to be strong, to prove you're over it. But God doesn't heal the mask. He heals the heart behind it. He meets you in the honest place, not the polished one. A broken and contrite heart, O God, you will not despise. Psalm 51:17. Your weakness doesn't push him away. It draws him closer. Grace moves toward the wounded. Close your eyes and imagine his presence near you now, not rushing, not demanding, just near. His touch is gentle, his silence kind. Healing isn't always a sudden miracle. Sometimes it's a slow mending, a quiet return of color to places that went dim. Let your heart rest in that process. It's not broken beyond repair. It's becoming sacred through surrender. The past can echo loudly, but God's voice speaks louder still. He reminds you that your story is not defined by what hurt you, but by the one who is healing you. Behold, I am making all things new. Revelation 21:5. New doesn't mean forgetting. It means the pain no longer rules the memory. It becomes testimony instead of torment. Healing happens when you stop asking why and begin to ask, what now, Lord? What beauty can come from this? What strength can grow here? Every scar becomes a mark of survival. Every tear a seed of compassion. You start to see that God's greatest miracles are not always visible. They're the peace that replaces despair. As you drift into rest tonight, breathe in this truth. Your heart is safe in his hands. He hasn't forgotten what broke you, but he also hasn't stopped restoring you. The same love that raised the dead is restoring your soul, piece by piece, breath by breath. And as sleep comes, let it come with peace, for the healer has not left your side. Chapter 10. The Light of Hope. There are nights when despair feels heavier than your own heartbeat, when you look for light and find only shadow. But even then, God's light has not gone out. It hides not to abandon you, but to teach your eyes to see beyond what is visible. May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him. Romans 15:13. Hope is not fragile. It's divine fire that never dies. The story of the empty tomb began in darkness. The women came at dawn, still weeping, expecting death, but the stone was rolled away. Hope was already at work before they arrived. Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen. Luke 24:5-6. That morning changed everything. If death can be undone, no night is truly final. Hope doesn't ignore pain. It transforms it. It doesn't deny the storm. It reminds you that the sunrise follows everyone. You may not feel it now, but resurrection power still breathes through your story. God specializes in turning endings into beginnings, graves into gardens, sorrow into songs. You are standing in the middle of what he's still redeeming. When your faith flickers, remember that hope doesn't depend on your strength. It depends on his promise. Even a mustard seed of faith can move mountains. Hope is not the absence of struggle. It's the quiet assurance that God's plan is unfolding, even here, even now. The Lord will fight for you. You need only to be still. Exodus 14:14. Sometimes hope feels like a whisper, small, almost fragile, but even a whisper from heaven carries more power than the loudest fear. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives in you. That means the same light that broke the tomb now glows within your soul. No darkness can extinguish it. It simply teaches it to shine brighter. Close your eyes and picture dawn after a long night. The air still cool, the sky pale gold. That's how God's hope enters. Quietly, gently, inevitably. It doesn't rush. It arrives when your heart finally stops fighting the dark. The first rays of faith warm your spirit again. You begin to remember that God has never failed you once. The light of hope isn't something you chase, it's something you carry. It grows with gratitude, with prayer, with trust that defies circumstance. When you speak life, you invite light. When you choose faith, you become part of His brightness. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. Isaiah 9:2. You are among them tonight. As sleep draws near, let the night itself remind you. Even darkness cannot stop dawn. God's promises rise as faithfully as the morning. Let that hope wrap around your heart until worry fades. Tomorrow is already held by the one who never fails. Rest now. The light of hope is already on its way. Chapter 11. The peace beyond understanding. There are nights when the mind refuses to rest, when thoughts circle endlessly and sleep feels far away. You replay words, relive moments, wonder what you could have done differently. Yet peace does not come from solving every question. It comes from surrendering them. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. Philippians 4:7. This peace isn't logical. It isn't earned. It comes quietly, without reason, without warning. It arrives when you finally stop striving to control the uncontrollable. The disciples learned this when Jesus slept in their storm. The waves rose, their fear screamed, yet the Prince of Peace remained still. His calm wasn't ignorance of danger. It was trust in his Father's authority. True peace doesn't require the absence of trouble. It thrives in the middle of it. It is not a fragile silence that breaks under pressure, but a steady pulse of divine assurance. You can't create it. You can only receive it. Peace isn't an answer, it's a person. And that person still whispers to your spirit tonight, "My peace I give you." John 14:27. When anxiety rises, peace stands as a guard around your heart. It doesn't chase away every worry immediately, but it surrounds you until fear grows smaller. It reminds you that your thoughts are not greater than His word. Each time you breathe in His promise, the storm within quiets. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything, present your requests to God. Philippians 4:6. Close your eyes now and imagine that peace like light spilling through a window. It moves slowly across the room, warming every corner, settling every shadow. You don't have to understand how it works, only that it does. The same peace that stilled the seas still moves through the spaces of your heart, one breath at a time. Sometimes peace doesn't shout. It hums softly beneath the noise. You may not feel it right away, but it is there, steady as the rhythm of your pulse, constant as the love of God that holds you. Peace doesn't depend on circumstance, it depends on presence. Where He is, calm begins. Where He reigns, fear cannot. Let go of the need to make sense of everything. Life's mysteries were never meant to be fully explained, only entrusted. You don't need to see the plan to rest in the planner. His peace is proof that you're not in charge, and that's good news. The Creator who holds galaxies also holds your restless mind tonight. As you drift into sleep, imagine the voice of Jesus once more saying, "Peace, be still." The wind listens. The waves settle. So does your soul. You don't need to understand peace to rest in it. You only need to believe it's real. And tonight, that peace, deeper than thought, stronger than fear, is already guarding your dreams. Chapter 12. The Strength in Weakness. There are moments when your soul feels tired of pretending to be strong. You've pushed, endured, kept smiling, but inside the weight grows heavier. Yet it's in those moments of weakness that God's power becomes most visible. My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. 2 Corinthians 12:9. Strength begins not in effort, but in surrender. Paul knew this truth well. He prayed for the thorn in his flesh to be removed, but God did not take it away. Instead, he gave him grace, enough to endure, enough to shine through pain. Strength isn't always healing. Sometimes it's the ability to stand with faith in the middle of what hurts. God doesn't always change the situation, but he always changes the soul within it. We often mistake weakness for failure, but heaven sees it differently. To be weak before God is to be real before him. It's to admit what you cannot carry and invite him to carry it with you. That's where divine partnership begins, not in pride, but in honesty. The moment you say, "Lord, I can't," heaven whispers back, "But I can." The cross itself was a picture of strength in weakness. The world saw defeat, God saw victory. Through surrender came salvation, through pain came redemption, and through death came life everlasting. When you bring your weakness to Christ, you join in that same miracle, where brokenness becomes beauty and loss becomes life. Sometimes you may feel like a vessel cracked and fragile, but that's where his light gets in and out. We have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us. 2 Corinthians 4:7. Your cracks are not shameful. They are proof that grace has entered. God shines brightest through what the world calls broken. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. You don't have to fix yourself tonight. You don't have to prove your worth by your strength. God already knows your limits, and he loves you right there. His Spirit moves best in surrendered hearts. Let your weakness become your offering, your silence become a song of trust. Strength is not noise or resistance. It's peace under pressure. It's the quiet choice to keep believing when everything else has fallen away. When you say, "Lord, I'm tired," he replies, "Then rest in me." His strength doesn't demand, it renews. Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. Isaiah 40:31. So as you fall asleep, remember this: your strength was never meant to come from you. It flows from the one who never grows weary, who lifts the weak, who comforts the faint. In his hands, your fragility becomes glory. Rest knowing this truth. You don't have to hold it all together because he already is. Chapter 13. The still waters of the soul. There is a peace that cannot be found in noise, a calm that the world cannot give. It comes when the heart finally stops striving and begins to listen. You were not created to live in constant motion. You were created to rest in God's rhythm. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. Stillness is not emptiness, it is awareness of his presence. The shepherd leads his flock to still waters, not rushing rivers. He knows your soul cannot drink from chaos. In stillness you learn to hear again, not the world, not your fear, but the gentle whisper of love calling you home. The voice that created galaxies still speaks to you, not in thunder, but in peace. When life moves too fast, your spirit forgets how to breathe. Stillness is how it remembers. It is not escape, it is communion. It is the sacred pause between heartbeats where heaven draws near. Every time you choose quiet over worry, you return to that divine rhythm, the same one that pulsed through Eden before the fall. Jesus often withdrew from the crowds to pray in solitude. The miracles happened in the noise, but his strength came from silence. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. Mark 1:35. Stillness isn't laziness, it's where divine energy is restored. Close your eyes now and imagine those still waters, the surface smooth, the air gentle, no sound but your breath. That is how peace looks within the soul when God reigns. Even if storms roar outside, this inner stream remains calm. It is fed not by circumstance, but by His Spirit flowing quietly through you. In stillness, fear loses its language. Doubt fades into distance. You realize that your worth was never in what you accomplish, but in who holds you. The shepherd doesn't rush his sheep. He leads them slowly, tenderly. When you follow His pace, you find that you were never behind, only learning to walk with Him. The world will always demand more noise, more movement, more proof. But the kingdom moves differently, softly, patiently, unseen. God does His deepest work in silence, because silence removes distraction. What He is shaping in you now doesn't need to be announced, it only needs to be received. In quietness and trust shall be your strength. Isaiah 30:15. So tonight, let stillness be your prayer. Lay down every thought, every plan, every question, and simply rest. The shepherd's hand is near, guiding you beside those still waters once again. Drink deeply of His peace, and let your heart mirror the calm of His presence. In the quiet, you will know He is God, and you are loved. Chapter 14. The Bread of Contentment. There is a quiet joy that blooms only when you stop chasing what isn't meant to fill you. The world shouts that peace comes from more success, more approval, more possession. Yet your soul knows the truth. Peace comes from enough. Keep your life free from the love of money and be content with what you have, because God has said, "Never will I leave you." Hebrews 13:5. True contentment is rooted in His presence, not your portion. The Israelites once hungered in the wilderness, longing for Egypt's food, forgetting that heaven was feeding them. God gave them manna, not too much, not too little, just enough for each day. It taught them trust. He who gathered much did not have too much, and he who gathered little did not have too little. Exodus 16:18. God still gives you daily bread, not for greed, but for grace. Discontentment exhausts the heart. It keeps you running after what will never satisfy. But gratitude turns ordinary moments into miracles. When you thank God for what's in your hands instead of envying what's in another's, peace begins to grow like a seed watered by faith. You remember that the shepherd who feeds the sparrows will never forget you. Jesus taught us to pray, "Give us this day our daily bread." He didn't say weekly or yearly, just daily, enough for today. That prayer isn't about food alone. It's about dependence. It's a reminder that peace lives in the present moment. Yesterday is gone, tomorrow isn't here, but today, this breath, is sacred and sufficient. Close your eyes and think of what God has already provided: the strength to endure, the love that sustains, the mercy that never ends. Contentment doesn't mean everything is perfect. It means you've chosen to see the perfect faithfulness of God in imperfect circumstances. You are richer than you know when your heart rests in gratitude. Paul wrote, "I have learned to be content whatever the circumstances." Philippians 4:11. That kind of peace doesn't come naturally. It's learned through trust. Sometimes God withholds abundance to teach the beauty of simplicity. Sometimes He gives more to test how deeply we can still depend. Either way, His purpose is love, and His timing is kind. The restless heart says, "When this changes, I'll be happy." But the grateful heart says, "God is here now, and that's enough." You cannot rest while reaching for what isn't yours, but you can find joy in the blessings already surrounding you. In that surrender, your spirit exhales and remembers, all you have is all you need when He is with you. So as you fall asleep tonight, breathe out striving and breathe in peace. The Lord has given you enough for this day, enough grace, enough strength, enough love. Tomorrow's manna will come when it's time. Rest in this holy truth. You are not lacking. You are not forgotten. You are full, for God Himself is your portion. Chapter 15. The River of Mercy. There are days when guilt clings to you like a shadow, when memories of mistakes whisper louder than hope. You wish you could erase them, but grace doesn't ask for erasure. It offers renewal. Because of the Lord's great love, we are not consumed, for His compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Lamentations 3:22-23. Mercy is the sunrise of the soul, rising again no matter how dark the night was. Peter knew that river well. He had denied Jesus 3 times, his heart shattered by shame. Yet when the risen Christ met him on the shore, He didn't condemn. He invited. Do you love me? John 21:17. 3 denials were met with 3 chances to love again. That is mercy, not pretending it didn't happen, but transforming failure into grace. Mercy doesn't erase truth. It redeems it. It looks at your worst moments and calls them soil for growth. God doesn't see the sinner you were. He sees the child you still are, loved and redeemable. His compassion doesn't run out. It overflows. You can never outrun what flows from His heart. It will meet you wherever you stop running. There's a rhythm to mercy. It never demands perfection, only return. Like a river, it keeps moving, cleansing, renewing. If we confess our sins, He is faithful and just to forgive us and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. John 1:9. Every time you come to Him, the water is still flowing. It doesn't grow cold with repetition. It stays warm with love. Close your eyes and imagine that river now. Clear, endless, soft light rippling over it. Step into it in your spirit. Feel the weight of shame washing away, replaced by quiet peace. You don't need to earn forgiveness. You only need to receive it. Grace doesn't wait for you to be ready. It meets you right where you are. Sometimes mercy looks like starting again when you thought you couldn't. It's waking up and realizing the past has lost its hold. It's looking in the mirror and seeing not your failure, but God's faithfulness reflected back. You are not defined by what you did wrong, but by what He made right through the cross. Even when you fall again, the river does not dry. God's patience is wider than your weakness. His love doesn't grow tired of forgiving. It delights in restoring. As far as the east is from the west, so far has He removed our transgressions from us. Psalm 103:12. Mercy forgets what love has already forgiven. So tonight, rest without guilt. The river is still flowing, even here, even now. Let it wash through your heart until peace returns. You are forgiven, you are loved, and you are free. Tomorrow, the water will rise again, clean, gentle, eternal. And as you sleep, remember, mercy will meet you at dawn. Chapter 16. The Shelter of His Wings. There is a safety that no wall or door can provide, a refuge not built by hands but by love. When fear rises and the world feels uncertain, God does not ask you to be brave alone. He opens His arms wide and invites you to rest beneath them. He will cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you will find refuge. Psalm 91:4. That is where peace begins, in the shadow of His care. Ruth found that shelter when she left everything familiar behind. Alone in a foreign land, she sought refuge under the God of Israel, trusting His unseen protection. Boaz spoke words that echo through time. May you be richly rewarded by the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge. Ruth 2:12. God honored that trust, turning her story into one of redemption and legacy. His wings are not symbols of escape. They are symbols of covering. They do not remove the storm. They shield you within it. Like a mother bird spreading her feathers over her young, God's love guards you from what could destroy you. You may still hear the thunder, but it will not touch your soul. His presence is your shelter through every season. There will be moments when you cannot see his protection, when life feels exposed and fragile. But even then, his wings are near, unseen but surrounding. You are my hiding place. You will protect me from trouble and surround me with songs of deliverance. Psalm 32:7. The song may be silent to the ear, but your spirit feels it. A melody of peace written just for you. Close your eyes now and imagine resting beneath that divine covering. The world grows quiet, the air warm, his presence steady above you. You are not forgotten. The same God who guided Noah through the flood and Daniel through the lions surrounds you now with gentleness stronger than iron. The safest place in the universe is not distance from danger, but nearness to him. Sometimes his wings lead you into stillness, other times into movement, but always under protection. He doesn't promise a life without storms, only a heart that can rest through them. Faith doesn't mean you won't feel afraid. It means fear no longer decides where you dwell. You belong beneath his care, and nothing can pull you from it. The enemy tries to convince you that you are uncovered, unprotected, alone, but lies cannot live under truth's shadow. God's love has already built the shelter your soul needs. Each prayer you whisper tightens the covering. Each act of trust deepens its strength. The more you rest in him, the stronger your refuge becomes. So as the night wraps around you, remember where you rest. Not in worry, not in uncertainty, but under his wings. The darkness outside cannot reach the peace within. The Lord will keep you from all harm. He will watch over your life. Psalm 121:7. Sleep safely now, hidden in the warmth of everlasting love. Chapter 17. The lamp of his word. There are paths so dim that your own eyes cannot find the way. The night feels endless, and you take a step unsure if it will hold. Yet God has not left you to wander in darkness. He has given you his word to guide you. Your word is a lamp to my feet and a light to my path. Psalm 119:105. The light may be small, but it is enough for the next step. God's word doesn't always reveal the entire road, just enough for today. It is not a spotlight over miles ahead, but a soft glow at your feet. That's how faith grows, one step at a time, one verse at a time. You learn to trust that the same light guiding you now will still be there when you take the next step. His word never burns out. The travelers on the road to Emmaus discovered this truth. Their hearts were heavy until Jesus walked beside them, opening the scriptures along the way. Later they said, "Were not our hearts burning within us while he talked with us on the road?" Luke 24:32. Light entered not through sight, but through revelation. His word still burns in hearts willing to listen. Every time you open scripture, heaven speaks again. The same God who spoke galaxies into existence whispers directly to you. His word cuts through confusion and brings peace where fear once ruled. It corrects, it comforts, it cleanses. The grass withers and the flowers fall, but the word of our God endures forever. Isaiah 40:8. Close your eyes and imagine that lamp glowing beside you, golden, gentle, unwavering. The path may twist, but the light does not. Even when you cannot see what lies ahead, you can rest in the one who lights your way. The word is not distant ink. It is living truth, breathing warmth into weary souls. Sometimes God speaks through a single phrase that stays with you all day, like a seed of light planted deep in the heart. You return to it again and again until it becomes strength. That is how Scripture works, not always in flashes of revelation, but in slow illumination. Little by little, the darkness fades. Let the word dwell richly in you, Read it, speak it, rest in it. When the world lies or your fears shout, let his truth answer first. The unfolding of your words gives light. It gives understanding to the simple. Psalm 119, 130. You do not need to know everything, only to know that his word is enough. As you close your eyes tonight, let a verse rest on your heart like a lantern left burning through the night. The world will sleep, but his word will keep watch. Every promise, every truth, every whisper of grace stands guard over your rest. The lamp will not go out until morning, and even then, its light will rise with you. Chapter 18. The courage to let go. There are times when God asks you to release what you thought you couldn't live without. It may be a plan, a dream, or even a version of yourself that no longer fits the season ahead. Letting go is never easy, but it is the beginning of peace. Jesus showed this truth when he prayed, "Father, not my will, but yours be done." Luke 22:42. In surrender, courage is born. The Garden of Gethsemane was not a place of triumph, but of trust. Jesus fell to the ground trembling, yet he chose obedience over comfort. His tears became the seeds of redemption. Letting go didn't mean giving up. It meant giving over. It meant believing that the Father's will, though painful, was perfect. Through surrender came resurrection. We often cling to what feels safe because uncertainty frightens us. But faith is not built in certainty. It's built in release. When you open your hands, you make space for God to fill them again. Whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for my sake will find it. Matthew 16:25. The blessing begins where control ends. Letting go is not forgetting, it is trusting. It means releasing the outcome into God's timing, believing he will redeem what you cannot repair. It's saying, I may not understand this now, but I know you do. Each time you let go, heaven moves closer. Every act of surrender becomes a step toward peace that fear can't follow. Close your eyes and imagine holding everything you've been gripping so tightly, every fear, every question, every hope. Now slowly release it into his hands. Feel the relief that follows, the unforced calm that comes when you stop trying to control what belongs to God. His plan may unfold differently, but it will never fail you. Abraham climbed the mountain with Isaac, carrying both faith and fear. Yet he trusted that God would provide, and he did. The Lord will provide. Genesis 22:14. What looked like loss became a moment of divine revelation. God doesn't take to harm, he asks to heal. What you surrender, he transforms. The courage to let go grows stronger each time you practice it. At first it feels like loss, then it begins to feel like freedom. Eventually it feels like peace. Surrender is not weakness, it's the highest form of worship. It says to God, you are wiser, you are good, and I trust you more than I trust myself. As you rest tonight, remember, what is placed in God's hands is never lost. The same hands that caught your tears now hold your tomorrow. You can close your eyes without fear, knowing that the one who never lets go is already carrying what you've released. Sleep in that courage, the holy peace of surrender. Chapter 19. The Promise of Provision. There are moments when worry feels heavier than hope. You look at what you have, and it seems too small, too fragile to meet what's ahead. But God never asked you to see abundance, only to trust his sufficiency. Look at the birds of the air. They do not sow or reap, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not much more valuable than they? Matthew 6:26. His care does not falter with circumstance. Elijah learned this truth by a lonely brook. Famine had swept the land, but God told him to stay and rest. Ravens brought him bread and meat morning and evening. 1 Kings 17:6. It wasn't luxury, it was enough. That is how divine provision works, simple, steady, and always on time. Heaven's hand never misses its moment. Sometimes God's provision comes in ways that make no sense until later. It may arrive through people you least expect or doors you didn't plan to walk through. But the source is always the same: His love. Provision is not just about what you receive. It's about remembering who provided. The giver is greater than the gift. When worry takes hold, your mind starts forecasting scarcity. But faith looks backward to God's faithfulness and says, He's never failed me yet. Every breath you've taken, every answered prayer, every unseen rescue, they're all testimonies of divine care. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. Psalm 23:1. Lack has no power where trust lives. Close your eyes now and imagine the Father's hands open before you, gentle, steady, overflowing with what you need. Not more, not less, but exactly enough. He knows what will feed your soul as well as your body. You may not see tomorrow's provision yet, but it's already prepared. Heaven's table never runs empty. The widow of Zarephath learned this when her flour and oil seemed nearly gone. Elijah told her, "The jar of flour will not be used up, and the jug of oil will not run dry." 1 Kings 17:14. She trusted, and her small kitchen became a place of endless miracle. Faith multiplies what fear calls finished. God's provision isn't limited to things. It includes peace, strength, and guidance. Sometimes the miracle isn't what He gives, but what He sustains. When you have just enough grace for today, that is provision too. He gives strength in measure, wisdom in season, mercy in abundance. Every part of your life rests under His care. So as you lay down to rest, let go of the need to plan tomorrow's blessings. The same God who fed Elijah, clothed the lilies, and watched over sparrows is watching over you. Trust His heart. He provides because He loves. Sleep in that assurance. Tomorrow's needs are already known, and heaven has already answered. Chapter 20. The Anchor of Hope. There are nights when life feels adrift, when everything once certain seems to shift beneath you. You reach for something steady, something that will not move when the world does. Hope is that anchor, quiet, unseen, yet unbreakable. We have this hope as an anchor for the soul, firm and secure. Hebrews 6:19. It holds even when you cannot see the shore. Hope doesn't deny the storm, it endures through it. It doesn't erase pain, it steadies you within it. Abraham understood this kind of hope when he looked toward promises that had not yet come to pass. Against all hope, Abraham in hope believed. Romans 4:18. His faith did not rest on what he saw, but on who God had proven Himself to be. Sometimes hope feels like waiting with empty hands. You pray, you believe, and still the answer delays. But in that waiting, God is anchoring your soul deeper in trust. Hope is not passive. It's the quiet strength that keeps you from drifting away. The waves may rise, but the anchor holds fast beneath them. Every time you choose to believe in God's goodness over your fear, the chain of hope grows stronger. Every time you speak faith instead of despair, you drop that anchor deeper. Hope is not wishful thinking. It's confidence built on a faithful history. The same God who carried you before will not let you sink now. Close your eyes and picture a vast ocean under the night sky. The wind blows, the boat sways, yet beneath the surface, the anchor holds. That is what hope feels like. Invisible, yet immovable. You don't need to see the anchor to know it's there. You just need to remember who dropped it into the depths for you. When storms howl, hope whispers reminders of promises that never expire. Those who hope in the Lord will not be put to shame. Isaiah 49:23. God's word is not a rope that breaks under pressure. It is the anchor's chain linking heaven's certainty to your soul. Each verse becomes weight enough to steady your heart again. Sometimes hope isn't a feeling but a decision, a choice to believe when everything else urges you to give up. It's choosing light when your eyes still see darkness. God never promised smooth seas, but he did promise his presence in every wave. The anchor doesn't remove the storm. It removes the fear of being lost in it. So tonight, let your heart rest in that truth. You are not drifting. You are held. The same God who anchors galaxies has anchored your soul in grace. Tomorrow may bring new winds, but the anchor remains. Hope is not gone, it is grounded. And as you sleep, the storm may rage, but your soul will not move. Chapter 21. The whisper of grace. Sometimes God doesn't speak through thunder or flame, but through a whisper so gentle it can only be heard by a quiet heart. You might expect correction, but instead you hear compassion. That is grace, unearned, unexpected, unstoppable. From his fullness we have all received grace upon grace. John 1:16. Grace doesn't shout, it embraces. The prodigal son knew that whisper. He rehearsed his apology, ready to beg for scraps of forgiveness, but his father ran to meet him first. The words of shame never left his lips, because love had already spoken louder. While he was still a long way off, his father saw him and was filled with compassion. Luke 15:20. That is how grace moves. It runs before you deserve it. Grace is not soft on truth. It is strong enough to carry it. It looks at your failures without flinching and still calls you beloved. It does not erase your past, but it rewrites its meaning. Every time you return to God, grace meets you halfway, carrying joy in its hands. You are never beyond the reach of mercy. Sometimes you think you've used up all your chances, that forgiveness has an end. But grace keeps arriving, wave after wave, because it flows from an endless sea. Where sin increased, grace increased all the more. Romans 5:20. God's mercy doesn't weaken with repetition. It deepens with love. Close your eyes and imagine that whisper reaching you now. It doesn't scold or demand. It simply says, "You are mine." It quiets the noise of self-condemnation and invites you to rest. The same voice that spoke galaxies into being now speaks peace into your soul. You are not defined by what you've done, but by what his grace has done for you. Grace is not permission to stay the same. It's power to begin again. It lifts you from the ground, cleans your wounds, and says, "Go in peace." The woman caught in sin heard that voice, not of judgment, but of freedom. "Neither do I condemn you," Jesus said. "Go and sin no more." John 8:11. Grace heals without humiliation. You will find that the more you listen to grace, the less you fear God's voice. It is not the sound of wrath, but of restoration. It corrects gently, restores completely, and reminds you that love is stronger than shame. Each breath becomes proof that grace is still working, still whispering life where guilt once lived. So as the night settles, listen for that voice. It is not far. It is within, soft and steady. It says, "Rest, my child. You are forgiven. You are loved." Let that whisper become your lullaby. Grace has carried you this far, and it will carry you home. Sleep now, wrapped in mercy that never ends. Chapter 22. The Garden of Renewal. There are seasons when the soul feels dry, when faith seems buried under the dust of disappointment. You long for freshness, for life to bloom again where everything feels still. But God specializes in renewal. The Lord will guide you continually. He will satisfy your needs in a sun-scorched land and make you like a watered garden. Isaiah 58:11. Even in drought, his spirit brings rain. In Eden, humanity first walked with God among trees and rivers. That garden wasn't just a place. It was a rhythm, a way of being in peace with the Creator. Though sin disrupted it, Jesus came to restore it. Every moment of stillness, every prayer, every act of surrender becomes a return to that sacred space. Renewal begins with communion. When you let God tend the soil of your heart, He removes the weeds of worry and the roots of bitterness that steal your joy. Renewal is often quiet, a process of unseen growth beneath the surface. He makes all things new. Revelation 21:5. New doesn't always look spectacular. Sometimes it's simply peace returning where fear once grew. The Samaritan woman at the well found that renewal in a single conversation. Worn by shame and thirst, she came for water but left with living hope. Whoever drinks the water I give them will never thirst. John 4:14. That same water flows tonight, clear and eternal, reaching the deepest places of your soul. Close your eyes and picture a garden at dawn, dew on the leaves, light breaking through branches. That's what God is doing in you even now. What once seemed barren is beginning to breathe again. The Spirit waters your faith with grace until it blooms quietly, beautifully in His time. Renewal also comes through rest. Just as the land must lie still to regain its strength, your heart needs pauses too. You cannot grow in constant motion. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. Psalm 23:2. The shepherd knows when your soil needs to rest, and He watches over it with patience. Even the seasons that seem like loss are often preparation for new life. Pruning hurts, but it makes space for greater fruit. What feels like ending is often planting. The gardener never wastes a branch or a tear. He works in cycles of grace, each one bringing more beauty than the last. So as you lie down tonight, trust the process of renewal. You don't need to rush growth, it's already happening in the quiet. God is restoring your garden, heart, mind, and soul. Tomorrow, when light returns, new blossoms will too. Rest now in this truth. The Creator who began your garden is faithful to make it bloom again. Chapter 23. The Faithfulness of God. There are promises you've held onto for years, words whispered in prayer, dreams carried through seasons of silence. At times, it may feel like God has forgotten, but His faithfulness is not measured by speed. It's measured by steadfast love. Know therefore that the Lord your God is God. He is the faithful God, keeping His covenant of love to 1,000 generations. Deuteronomy 7:9. His memory never fails, and neither does His word. Noah knew what it meant to wait on God's faithfulness. The rain poured, the ark rocked, and the world seemed lost. Yet God remembered him. But God remembered Noah. Genesis 8:1. Those words still echo through every life that feels adrift. You are not forgotten in your flood. Even when you cannot see the rainbow, the promise remains written in heaven. Faithfulness doesn't always look like rescue. Sometimes it looks like endurance. God's loyalty often arrives not in the storm's end, but in the strength to endure it. You wake up each morning and realize you are still standing. That's faithfulness too. His love isn't seasonal, it's eternal. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. Lamentations 3:22. When fear whispers that you are alone, remember the stories of His past faithfulness. Every answered prayer, every narrow escape, every quiet comfort in the night, they are proof. The God who saw you through yesterday will see you through tomorrow. His nature doesn't change with your circumstances. He remains who He's always been, constant, trustworthy, near. Close your eyes now and picture his hand writing your story. No line forgotten, no detail overlooked. The same author who began your life still writes it with precision and purpose. He who began a good work in you will carry it on to completion. Philippians 1:6. His timeline is not delayed, it is deliberate. When you cannot trace his hand, you can still trust his heart. Faithfulness doesn't always mean answers. Sometimes it means presence. God is not just faithful in victory, he is faithful in the waiting, the pain, the questions. His promise is not that you will never weep, but that you will never weep alone. There are seasons when gratitude becomes memory's language. Look back on the valleys you've crossed and the mountains you've climbed. You will see his fingerprints in every step. Even when your prayers felt unanswered, his mercy was at work, weaving redemption quietly beneath the surface. So as you rest tonight, let your heart settle in this unshakable truth. God has never failed you, and he will not start now. His promises do not expire with time, they mature with trust. The same faithfulness that carried Noah, Abraham, and Mary carries you. Sleep in peace. The covenant still stands, and his love still keeps watch. Chapter 24. The Voice in the Wilderness. There are seasons when everything familiar falls silent, when the path ahead feels barren and unclear. You pray and hear nothing, you move and see no fruit. Yet the wilderness is not a punishment, it is preparation. A voice of one calling, prepare the way for the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Isaiah 43. God still speaks in empty places, just softer, so your heart learns to listen. John the Baptist lived far from comfort, wrapped in simplicity, surrounded by sand and silence. But from that solitude came a voice strong enough to shake nations. The wilderness didn't break him, it refined him. In the quiet, his spirit learned what cities could never teach, that every calling begins with communion. Before God uses a voice, he purifies it in silence. You may feel lost right now, as though you've been led to a land without direction. But even there, his presence has gone before you. The wilderness is where dependence is born. Remember how the Lord your God led you all the way in the wilderness these 40 years to humble and test you. Deuteronomy 8:2. You are not being forgotten, you are being formed. In the barren places, faith becomes less about sight and more about trust. God's whisper may not come when you expect it, but it always comes when your heart is ready to hear. The stillness that feels like emptiness is often the clearing where his voice will soon echo. What seems like delay is simply the shaping of deeper hearing. Close your eyes now and imagine the vast quiet of the desert. The air still, the stars wide above you, the horizon endless. That's where your soul meets God face to face. No distractions, no noise, only need and presence. It's in such quiet that revelation is born. The wilderness, though lonely, is holy ground. When God's voice finally comes, it rarely arrives as thunder. It's a word, a verse, a moment of peace that interrupts your fear. It may not change your surroundings, but it changes you within them. The desert remains, yet your spirit blooms. Man shall not live on bread alone, but on every word that comes from the mouth of God. Matthew 4:4. The wilderness teaches you what abundance never could, that God himself is enough. When every other voice fades, his becomes unmistakable. He leads not by sight but by sound. One word, one promise, one heartbeat of grace at a time. Your loneliness becomes the echo chamber of his truth. So as night falls, if you feel surrounded by silence, remember that's often where God's voice is clearest. The desert is not your destination, it is your preparation. Listen for the whisper among the winds. It is calling your name gently, faithfully. You are not lost in the wilderness. You are being led through it. Chapter 25. The Comforter's Presence. There are moments when comfort feels far away, when no word or hand seems to reach the ache within. Yet even in that quiet pain, you are not alone. Jesus promised, "The Comforter, the Holy Spirit, will teach you all things and remind you of everything I have said to you." John 14:26. His presence is not beside you. It is within you, breathing peace where fear once lived. The Spirit's comfort is unlike anything the world gives. It doesn't erase pain, it transforms it into wisdom, into tenderness for others who suffer. Like wind passing through trees, you cannot see him, but you feel the movement of his peace. The wind blows wherever it pleases, so it is with everyone born of the Spirit. John 3:8. What you feel tonight is not emptiness, it is him whispering stillness. After Jesus ascended, the disciples were afraid, uncertain, and hidden behind locked doors. Yet when the Holy Spirit came, courage filled what fear had emptied. The same Spirit now fills you. You are not abandoned to endure life's trials alone. You carry divine presence in your very breath. Each sigh of faith is prayer, and each prayer finds its answer in him. Sometimes the Spirit comforts by silence. No vision, no words, just peace that defies reason. The Spirit himself intercedes for us through wordless groans. Romans 8:26. Even when you cannot pray, heaven prays through you. Your weakness is not a barrier. It is the space where the Comforter moves most freely. Close your eyes and imagine that presence wrapping gently around you, soft as dawn, steady as a heartbeat. He knows what you cannot express. Every worry, every tear, every fear that lingers. He gathers them quietly and replaces them with calm. You are safe within his keeping. The Spirit is not visiting, he is dwelling. The Spirit doesn't only comfort, he guides. He reminds you of truth when confusion clouds your mind, turning uncertainty into trust. When the Spirit of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth. John 16:13. Each decision surrendered becomes another step in rhythm with God's wisdom. He does not push, he leads gently. When loneliness tries to whisper that no one understands, remember that the Comforter does. He searches every depth of your heart and every corner of your mind, translating pain into peace. His comfort is not fleeting, it's eternal. It reminds you that you are not walking toward God, you are walking with him. So as you rest tonight, breathe softly and let his presence settle over you like a blanket of light. The same Spirit that hovered over creation now hovers over your life. You are seen, you are known, you are held. Sleep in the assurance that you will never face a night without the Comforter's peace beside you. Chapter 26. The Joy in Suffering. There are valleys that joy seems unable to enter, places where sorrow feels too heavy for laughter to exist. Yet Scripture speaks of a joy that is not bound by circumstance, one that grows in the soil of suffering. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds. James 1:2. This is not joy that ignores pain, but one that transforms it. Paul and Silas understood this mystery. Imprisoned, beaten and chained, they began to sing at midnight. Their praise didn't come after deliverance, it caused it. Suddenly, there was such a violent earthquake that the prison doors flew open. Acts 16:26. Joy is the sound of faith that refuses to be silenced. It shakes the walls built by fear. God's joy doesn't deny tears, it redeems them. It turns despair into testimony, not by removing suffering, but by infusing it with purpose. The same God who allowed Joseph to be sold into slavery used that pain to save nations. You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good, Genesis 50:20. Nothing surrendered to him is wasted. Sometimes the only offering you can bring is praise through pain, and that is the most powerful kind. Heaven receives broken hallelujahs as treasures. Each word of trust uttered in darkness becomes a seed of light. When you praise while hurting, you declare that your God is greater than your grief. That is worship in its purest form. Close your eyes now and breathe through the ache that lingers. You are not alone in this fire. The Lord who walked with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego still walks with you. When you pass through the waters, I will be with you, and through the rivers, they shall not overflow you. Isaiah 43:2. He does not remove the flames, he transforms them into glory. Joy in suffering is not pretending everything is fine, it is trusting that everything will be redeemed. It's the quiet confidence that pain is temporary, but purpose is eternal. Every tear that falls becomes part of heaven's healing. The deeper the sorrow, the greater the capacity for joy when morning comes. When your heart feels weary, remember that even Jesus endured the cross for the joy set before him. Hebrews 12:2. He saw beyond the pain to the redemption it would bring. The same Spirit that sustained him now lives in you. You can endure not because you are strong, but because he is joy itself dwelling within your soul. So as you rest tonight, let that sacred joy rise again, not loud or forced, but gentle, steady, real. You are not defeated by what you've endured, you are being refined by it. God is turning pain into praise, sorrow into strength. Rest in this truth. Joy will come in the morning, and it will not leave when it does. Chapter 27, The Shield of Faith. Every day brings unseen battles, doubts that whisper, fears that rise, temptations that call your name. But God has not left you defenseless. He has given you a shield, strong enough to extinguish every dart of darkness. Take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Ephesians 6:16. Faith doesn't just protect, it empowers. David understood this shield well. Before facing Goliath, he refused the armor of kings and stood with only a sling, 5 stones, and unshakable belief. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine. 1 Samuel 17:37. His faith wasn't in his weapon, it was in his God. That faith became his armor. Faith is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear decide your path. It does not guarantee easy days, but it ensures victory where courage stands. Each time you choose trust over worry, you lift the shield higher. Each prayer whispered through tears becomes another layer of divine defense. Sometimes the battle happens quietly, in your thoughts, in your waiting, in the silence where God seems far. Yet the shield still holds. It is forged not by effort, but by grace. This is the victory that has overcome the world, even our faith. On John 5:4. Your belief, however small, carries eternal power. Close your eyes now and imagine holding that shield, light in your hands but mighty in strength. You don't have to know how to fight. You just need to stand. The arrows may come, but none can pierce the promise that surrounds you. Faith is not fragile. It is forged in fire. When the enemy tries to fill your mind with lies, that you're not enough, that you're forgotten, that you failed, raise your shield and remember the truth. No weapon formed against you shall prosper. Isaiah 54:17. The voice of fear loses power when met with faith's declaration. My God is still faithful. Faith does not stop the storm, but it changes how you face it. It reminds you that you are never alone, that every battle belongs to the Lord. When your arms grow tired, He holds the shield with you. His strength fills where yours runs out. Faith isn't yours to create, it's His to sustain. So tonight, rest, knowing your heart is guarded. The war may not yet be over, but the victory is already written. You are not unprotected. You are surrounded by the armor of heaven. Sleep beneath that shield, unafraid, unshaken, unseen by fear. For the one who gave you faith never sleeps, and His watch over you never ends. Chapter 28. The Beauty of Humility. There is a quiet strength in those who no longer need to prove themselves. The world shouts for recognition, but heaven moves through gentleness. True greatness is not measured by position, but by posture, by the heart that bows before God and lifts others up. Humble yourselves, therefore, under God's mighty hand, that He may lift you up in due time. 1 Peter 5:6. Humility is not weakness. It is wisdom wrapped in peace. Jesus showed the beauty of humility the night He knelt before His disciples to wash their feet. The King of Heaven took the place of a servant, not out of obligation, but out of love. If I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. John 13:14. He redefined power, not as authority over others, but as compassion beneath them. Pride isolates the soul, humility connects it. Pride says, I can do this alone. Humility says, without you, I am nothing. It opens the heart to grace and allows God's presence to dwell freely. The lower you bow before Him, the higher He lifts your spirit. He fills the humble with the very thing the proud keep chasing, peace. When you walk in humility, you carry heaven's fragrance. People may not notice your quiet strength, but they feel it, a calm presence that disarms pride and invites rest. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Matthew 5:5. Meekness doesn't mean silence. It means power under control, love stronger than ego. Close your eyes and imagine Jesus kneeling before you, not with condemnation, but with care. He washes away the dirt of your journey, every mistake, every heavy thought, and says, you are clean. That is humility divine, bending low to raise you high. Let your heart learn from His hands tonight. Humility allows you to see others through God's eyes. It replaces judgment with compassion, competition with kindness. When you remember how much grace you've received, it becomes natural to extend it. Do nothing out of selfish ambition or vain conceit. Rather, in humility, value others above yourselves. Philippians 2:3. To love like this is to mirror Christ. The proud heart must always strive, but the humble heart can finally rest. It no longer seeks to be first, only faithful. It no longer fights to be seen, only to serve. God delights in such hearts, for they are vessels through which His glory quietly shines. His greatest miracles often begin in humble surrender. So as night falls, lay aside the weight of pride and the need to prove your worth. The one who made you already calls you precious. Rest in the peace that humility brings, the stillness of knowing you don't have to be great to be loved. He guides the humble in what is right and teaches them His way. Psalm 25:9. Sleep in that quiet beauty, the beauty of humility. Chapter 29. The gift of silence. There is a sacred power in silence, a holiness that words cannot reach. The world fills every space with noise, voices, thoughts, and endless motion, but God often speaks in the pause between them. The Lord is in His holy temple. Let all the earth keep silence before Him. Habakkuk 2:20. In silence, the heart begins to hear what the mind has missed. Samuel was just a child when he first heard God's voice in the quiet of night. The temple was still, the lamp barely flickering, yet heaven spoke. Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. 1 Samuel 3:10. That is what silence teaches, not emptiness, but attentiveness. When the noise fades, his whisper becomes unmistakable. Silence is not absence, it is invitation. It asks you to lay down the need to explain, defend, or fill every moment. God moves most deeply in stillness because there he has your undivided attention. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Psalm 37:7. Patience grows in quiet soil, watered by trust. The modern heart fears silence because it feels like loss, a void to be filled. But heaven knows silence as abundance. It is the resting place of truth, the birthplace of revelation. Even Jesus sought it often, withdrawing to lonely places to pray. Silence was not his escape, it was his connection. Close your eyes and let the noise inside you slow. Every worry, every thought, every word, let them fall softly into the hands of God. Breathe until the only sound you hear is your heartbeat echoing his. Silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of peace. In silence, pride loses its voice and humility finds its strength. You no longer strive to be understood, for you know you are already known. You no longer beg for answers, for his presence becomes the answer itself. In repentance and rest is your salvation. In quietness and trust is your strength. Isaiah 30:15. Silence is where transformation begins. Words may teach, but silence roots truth in the soul. When you stop speaking, heaven starts shaping. The Spirit breathes through the quiet, turning rest into renewal, reflection into revelation. God's silence is not distance, it is depth. So tonight, let yourself enter the holy hush. You don't need to pray with many words. Your stillness is prayer enough. Let the silence wrap around you like a warm cloak. The Lord is near, listening to your unspoken thoughts, answering with peace. Sleep now in that quiet, where the voice of God speaks softly, and all is well. Chapter 30. The Eternal Promise. There are moments when thoughts of eternity stir a quiet awe within you, not fear but longing. The heart senses that this world, with all its beauty and sorrow, is not the final home. Jesus spoke of this when he said, "In my Father's house are many rooms. If it were not so, would I have told you that I go to prepare a place for you?" John 14:2. Heaven is not far away, it is love fulfilled. The disciples feared losing him, but Jesus replaced their fear with promise. He wanted them to know that separation was never the end. Every goodbye whispered in faith is temporary. The Father's house has space enough for every weary soul who believes. Death may close a door, but Christ has already opened another. Heaven is not a distant idea. It is the completion of every hope that faith has ever carried. The struggles of earth, the tears, the waiting, all become seeds of glory in his presence. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. Revelation 21:4. That is the promise written in light. Sometimes you glimpse eternity in small ways, in forgiveness, in beauty, in peace that feels too deep for this world. Those moments are echoes of home. Heaven begins not when you leave earth, but when you let his presence dwell in you here. Eternal life is not just duration. It is communion that never ends. Close your eyes and imagine that house he spoke of. Light spilling through open doors, laughter echoing through endless halls. No hurry, no fear, only belonging. That is where every faithful heart is headed. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23:6. Until that day, faith teaches you to live as a citizen of heaven, even on earthly ground. To love as though eternity is already unfolding, to forgive as though nothing can be lost. The soul that believes this promise carries a peace untouched by time. You are already walking toward forever. The cross was the bridge between now and eternity. When Jesus said, "It is finished," he was not ending hope, he was beginning it. The price for your place in that eternal home was paid in full. All that remains is trust. The same hands that bore nails now build a home with your name upon the door. So as you rest tonight, let your heart breathe in this promise. This world is not your ending. It is your journey home. Every sigh will be answered with song, every wound with wonder. Rest in that assurance, for the Eternal One watches your sleep, and his promise will carry you safely into morning. Chapter 31. The Light That Never Fades. There are nights when the darkness feels endless, when the soul wonders if the dawn will ever return. Yet even then light remains, not the fragile light of the sun, but the eternal light of Christ that no shadow can overcome. I am the light of the world. Whoever follows me will never walk in darkness, but will have the light of life. John 8:12. His glow is constant, even when your eyes can't see it. The disciples saw this light most clearly on a mountain when Jesus was transfigured before them. His face shone like the sun, his clothes white as light. Matthew 17:2. It was a glimpse of heaven's brilliance breaking through the veil of earth. That same radiance now lives within every believer, a spark of eternity burning quietly in the heart. Darkness cannot extinguish what God himself has kindled. Even when fear surrounds you, even when sorrow lingers, the light within you keeps shining. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. John 1:5. Every act of love, every prayer of faith, every moment of grace is a reflection of that eternal flame. Sometimes the night is allowed to fall so you can remember where your light comes from. When you cannot see the way, you learn to walk by trust, not sight. And in that trust, your spirit glows brighter. The darker the night, the clearer the stars appear. Hope glimmers most beautifully against despair. Close your eyes and imagine that light now, not distant, not unreachable, but alive within you. It warms what has grown cold, heals what has been hidden, and draws you back to peace. The Spirit of Christ is not beside you, he is within you, shining through your weakness with gentle strength. This light does not depend on your perfection. It stays when you fail, when you doubt, when you wander. God's love does not flicker like a candle in the wind. It burns steady as the sun that never sets. The Lord will be your everlasting light, and your days of sorrow will end. Isaiah 60:20. When you carry this light, you become part of God's answer to the world's darkness, a kind word, a quiet prayer, a simple act of mercy. These are beams of his love breaking through the clouds. You don't have to be radiant to reflect him. You only have to be willing. So as you drift to sleep, remember, the light has not left you. It fills the room, the night, and your heart. Let it rest upon you like dawn on still water. Morning will come, but until it does, the light that never fades will keep watch, whispering softly, "You are never alone in the dark." Chapter 32. The Rest of the Redeemed. There comes a moment when every struggle quiets, when every question finds its answer in peace. That is the rest promised to the redeemed, not an ending, but a homecoming. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain. Revelation 21:4. In that place, rest is not sleep, it is joy fulfilled. Heaven's rest is not the absence of life, but its perfection. The same hands that carried you through storms will welcome you into light. The same voice that called you in the night will speak your name in eternity. The journey ends not in exhaustion, but in embrace. You will finally see the face of the one who never left your side. Even now the promise begins within you. Salvation is not just a future hope, it is a present peace. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. This invitation is not distant, it is alive in this very breath. Every sigh surrendered to him becomes part of eternity's song. The redeemed rest not because they have earned peace, but because grace has finished the work. The cross was the doorway. The resurrection was the key. Nothing more is required than trust. You are not striving toward God. You are already held by him. In that assurance, every worry loses its grip. Close your eyes and imagine that rest now. Fields without fear, skies without sorrow, light without shadow. The Lamb of God walks among his people, and joy flows like a river without end. They will hunger no more, neither thirst any more, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes. Revelation 7:16-17. This is your inheritance, prepared since the foundation of the world. Even as you live within time, your soul belongs to eternity. Each moment of worship, each act of love, each prayer whispered in faith, all are glimpses of heaven's rhythm beating in your heart. You are already part of that eternal choir, your life another note in God's endless melody of grace. Rest for the redeemed is not merely the end of toil, but the beginning of wholeness. It is where memory becomes gratitude and hope becomes sight. The battles fade, the burdens fall, and only love remains. The promise is sure. What was broken will be restored. What was lost will be found, and all things will be made new. So tonight, let your soul rest in that divine promise. The shepherd has brought you safely through every valley, and now his voice whispers peace. In peace I will lie down and sleep, for you alone, Lord, make me dwell in safety. Psalm 4:8. Sleep now in the quiet assurance of the redeemed, loved, forgiven, and finally home. There is a stillness that only God can give, a peace that surpasses all reason and settles the restless heart. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast, because they trust in you. Isaiah 26:3. This peace does not depend on circumstance, it flows from his presence. Tonight, as the world quiets, let your thoughts rest in that steadfast love that never wavers and never sleeps. The shepherd who leads you beside still waters has not gone from your side. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He restores my soul. Psalm 23:2-3. Every breath you take is his reminder that you are safe, watched over, and deeply known. Let his voice be the last you hear, calm, gentle, and full of promise. Jesus still whispers the same invitation he gave long ago. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. The night is his gift to you, a time not of fear, but of renewal. Lay your heart in his hands, for he never lets go. May the peace of Christ guard your heart as you sleep, and may his light greet you with mercy in the morning.